This Sportz Blitz podcast is brought to you by LMG. Grow your business through logo design, paper products, and video production. Visit leemarketing.net to learn more.
Welcome back to Sportz Blitz Live, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and S&S. Discount Tire here in the Auburn Blitz segment of our show, sponsored by Dane Sharp, attorney at law, located on 134 North Broadneck Street in downtown Davil, Alabama, across from the Tallapoosa County Courthouse. For all your legal needs, make sure you call Dane Sharp, 256-825-4631. And Dane Sharp also is our hotline sponsor, and all of our guests a part of the Dane Sharp hotline. And we have a guest on that's a weekly guest and a big part of the Auburn Blitz, Andy Grimm on the Dane Sharp Attorney at Law Hotline. Andy, thanks for being part of the program.
It's always good to be here, Brett.
Here in the Auburn Blitz segment of the show, and we'll start off with some baseball action as Auburn right now, to give a morbid update, is losing to Jacksonville State 4-0. But let me say something. Jacksonville State has a tremendous baseball program. They've got our very own Griff Gordon up there, who has played extremely well from Alexander City. Watched Griff grow up, watched him have a stellar career at Benjamin Russell High School, moved on to play at Southern Union. Now he's at Jacksonville State. A couple years ago, Jacksonville State made the regional at Auburn, played really well down there at Auburn and Plainsman Park. And so, Jacksonville State, if you don't come ready to play, they can beat anybody at any time. And Auburn comes off of a good series win this past weekend, Andy. Beat the number 18 team in the country, Ole Miss. They took 2 out of 3 there. But as you said before we went on the air, probably a little bit too late.
Yeah, the offense finally showed up. They opened up the first game of the series and really got hammered pretty good, but had some good force and scored 8 runs in the second game. And turned out in the third game, got a big home run by Dan Tomsha, and really, it was a good win for Auburn. It's always good to take 2 of 3 to win a series from a team as highly ranked as Ole Miss. But the problem is that only puts it Auburn at 9-15 in the league. And when you're happy about solidly taking over the 11th spot in the SEC, you're not in good standing to begin with. So I just think the John Pulaski era has got to come to an end here. I don't think the program's in good shape. We've only had 1 winning SEC record in the 5 years that he's been at Auburn. He's not going to have one here this year. Auburn will make the SEC tournament, but beyond that, I just don't. I don't see us. I really don't see Auburn making the NCAA tournament.
We got Andy Grimm on the Dane Sharp Attorney at Law Hotline here in the Auburn Blitz segment. Again, it's the same song, a different verse for this Auburn baseball program with John Pulaski. It's probably not a good idea to get tossed out of a baseball game. And when you get tossed, the team picked it up a notch and actually went on to win. So that may say a little bit about you and your presence in the dugout. Probably not a good time for John Pulaski to get tossed. But, Florida is who Auburn finishes up with this coming up weekend on the road. It's not the Florida of the last 2 years. They've got a 500 record in the SEC, a barely 500 record overall in their overall record. So Auburn could go down and actually win one. I don't see them winning the series at all. And I think it would be a victory if they go down and win one game and don't get swept. So you're looking at Auburn finishing with 17 to 18 losses in the SEC with only 8 or 9 wins. So it's just not where you want your program to be. Right now, I think overall you got to look at Auburn, something that we've been saying for the last 6 months as a whole, where their athletic program is totally. Softball, they're dead last in the Western Division. The basketball team finished last. The baseball team's not going to finish last, but they're going to finish toward the bottom. The football team finished toward the bottom. I think they've made some inroads there with the new coachings and all that. But, Andy, obviously all signs and roads are leading to this administration. Something's got to change.
I think you're right. Like you said, this has been a common theme, and it's not just this past year. This is like for 2 or 3 years now that Auburn has the entire athletic department has been going in the wrong direction. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. when you are, involved in an athletic department and you are the head, president, CEO, however you want to look at it, athletic director in this case, the entire department seems to take on the personality, the aura of the guy that's in charge. And Jay Jacobs, it reminds me a great deal of Mike Shula. He's a really affable guy. People like him on a personal level, but he just does not have what it takes to be that real, take charge kind of guy. That really to have that killer instinct that you kind of need to have, and kind of to let it permeate your program, because obviously, Auburn has played soft in all areas of athletics, and it's just becoming so evident now. I just think the writing is on the wall. I don't know how much longer President Gooch, or for that matter, the trustees can allow this to continue with, because we keep saying, well, it's got to turn around, and it's just not turning around.
Andy Grimm on the phone with us here on the Dane Sharp Attorney at Law Hotline and the Auburn Blitz. We'll shift gears and talk about basketball, and not another not so pretty picture. More transfers in all season. This is a reoccurring theme for Tony Barbie. Brian Green Jr., I don't know how much of a loss that is. Jordan Price, on the other hand, was one of Auburn's top recruits a year ago. Somebody that everybody was excited about getting. He's going to transfer now. But nevertheless, two promising freshmen that are gone. Now that you've got, he does go out and land the Rutgers point guard and able to bring some guys in. But, just the attrition on this program and the lack of consistency. And I know Alabama's faced with the same thing. Alabama's lost several players. They lost one of their better players, so to say, in Trevor Lacey. But, they're able to go out and get some guys like that. It just looks like Auburn and Alabama's basketball program just trying to search for some kind of Band-Aid to fix this program.
Yeah, NCAA basketball is kind of a unique animal in itself, because you do have a lot more attrition in that sport than you do a lot of the other ones, simply because, for some programs, they have the good problem of guys going pro, at any time after their freshman year. But I've never seen a basketball program have the attrition that Auburn has, and it was like that under Lebo. This has been going on for the last 10 years. That I mean, every single year Auburn loses some, early freshmen or sophomores, and they're never able to build any depth. An Auburn basketball team hasn't had depth since Cliff Ellis was there. So, I don't know. I don't quite understand it. I mean, obviously, the players aren't happy, and nobody's really happy losing, which is another product that Auburn has put on the floor over the last 10 years, is a losing product. So, like you said, the Segrist kid from Rutgers, I know that the coaching staff is extremely happy about that, and then we'll see if he's able to play immediately with the NCAA. I don't think they've ruled on that yet, but at this point, I'm not sure it really matters, because even the guys, some of the guys that Tony Barbie has in this class, you just wonder if they're going to be around for more than a year.
It's a good question, and only time will tell. We'll end with football. A couple of key commitments or key players going to be making their commitment at some point in time this week. Trey Williams, first of all, number 3 middle linebacker in the country from the Mobile area, announcing tomorrow between Auburn and Alabama. And then Justin Thornton, the number 9 defensive end prospect in the country, announces Sunday. I'll just ask you straight up, Andy, do we get one of those? Do we get both of them? Do we get none of them?
I think we'll get one. I like what Justin Thornton said. He said Auburn makes me feel at home, and that's the reason that I pushed back my announce date until Sunday. I think that is a very good sign for Auburn. And Trey Williams came out and said it's down to Auburn and Alabama. I know a lot of people, seem to think he might be leaning toward Auburn. I know he's been to Auburn several times. I know he's enjoyed his visit. It's just so hard to read kids, and I don't like, I have a terrible track record predicting these things, but I'm going to say this, and we can talk about it next week. I'll say we get both, and that'll just to give Luke a grind. But it could be a really big week for Auburn. I think this would really jumpstart the recruiting season, and obviously, even if Auburn doesn't get these two guys, the fact that they're in the top 2 or 3 coming out of Mobile, St. Paul's especially, I think Damian Craig is really, really making his presence known, and I think he's proving his worth already. And I think that surely, hopefully, is a sign of things to come.
I think you're right. It'll be interesting to watch. Again, Trey Williams will announce tomorrow. Justin Thornton will announce on Sunday. Again, Auburn, a couple of 3 or 4 3-star guys to start off this recruiting class. I know we're real early, but if they're able to land these two, that'll really boost them up there and help them as far as their ranking nationally. Depth chart's out. I don't think there's a lot to make out of that. I think there's a lot of questions still to be answered, and frankly, I don't think any of that will get answered until the first football game, Andy.
No, me either. The only thing that I saw on there that really I was happy to see is Sean Coleman on the 2 deep. I think second string and left tackle. I just think that's a phenomenal story, and it's so good that he was over to be able to overcome what he did, and that he's now actually playing and really competing to get on the field. So that's the one thing that I took away from that. I don't really put any stock in any of the other rankings.
Andy, thanks so much for being on the program each and every week here in the Auburn Blitz segment, and again, appreciate all your insight, and look forward to it next week.
That's my pleasure. I look forward to it as well.
Thanks so much. That's Andy Grimm here on the Auburn Blitz segment of the show, sponsored by Dane Sharp, attorney at law, and of course, Andy on the Dane Sharp attorney at law hotline. So we want to thank Dane Sharp for sponsoring and being a big part of our program here on Sportz Blitz. We'll take a break. Stay tuned. More Sportz Blitz Live, presented by JR's and SNS Tire right after this.